I was in the middle of demolishing a couple of street tacos, savoring every bite, when I saw exactly what I expected to see on Caleb Vance's Instagram story. A picture of my girlfriend, Jessica. The caption read, "Your cooking is the only medicine I need." After being stood up by Jessica this many times, I was basically numb to it. If anything, I was thinking I should just break up with her and let them get on with it. I took a bite of carne asada and watched her name flash across my phone screen, annoyed that it was slowing down my taco consumption. I was about to ignore it when my thumb accidentally swiped the screen and answered the call. Nothing to do but deal with it. "What's up?" I asked. Jessica's voice was completely normal, not a hint of anything wrong. "Hey, something came up at work. Sorry I can't make it tonight. I'll make it up to you." I chewed through the last of the beef and picked up my order of elote. "Oh yeah, no problem. It's fine." Her voice turned quizzical. "Where are you?" I glanced around at the noisy, crowded food truck park. The Perch, our original destination, was definitely not this loud. "Oh, I was craving tacos, so..." "Yeah, this grilled corn was so much better." "Why are you so impulsive?" she said, her tone shifting to annoyance. "I had a friend pull strings to get that reservation. Wasting a favor like that makes me look bad." "Well, just tell your friend the real reason you couldn't make it. I'm sure she'll understand." "What real reason? What are you implying now?" I sighed. "Is Caleb feeling any better?" Her voice dropped, laced with guilt. "How did you know?" "No, that's not it. Let me explain." "Don't bother, I get it," I said, cutting her off. "My tacos are getting cold. Talk later." I hung up. "Hey man, your loaded fries," the guy at the counter yelled. "Awesome, thanks." "Ah, garlic fries. My absolute favorite." As for why Jessica really bailed, it didn't take a genius. On the way to the Perch, I'd seen Caleb's Instagram post. "It's dinner time, but I feel awful. No appetite, don't want to eat anything." I told the Uber driver to turn around and head for the food truck park on 2&D Street. It was practically a reflex at this point. Ever since Jessica got to know Caleb, he'd always come first. He was a new hire at her company, a recent grad brimming with youthful energy. Her opinion of him had morphed from "he's so clueless I'm thinking of firing him" to "he's actually a hard worker, and he's had it rough." I knew right then she was catching feelings. Then, somewhere along the line, she became his personal problem solver. Any little trouble in Caleb's life, and Jessica was there, first on the scene. I just watched it happen, feeling helpless and frustrated. It's not like we didn't fight about it, but her excuses were always so dismissive. "He's fresh out of college and doesn't know anyone here. I'm just looking out for an employee. Anniversaries aren't that big of a deal. If it really matters to you, we can celebrate later." But his stomach is killing him, so I want to take care of him. "You've had food poisoning. You know how miserable that is, right?" "You just sprained your ankle, Leo." He had a fever of 103. "You can see which one is more serious, can't you?" So I became immune. Numb. Getting stood up for dinner was small potatoes compared to everything else. The next morning, I was surprised to see Jessica in the living room. Usually, after a night like that, she'd just go straight to work from Caleb's apartment. She saw me and acted casual. "Got back too late last night, so I just crashed in the guest room." I just grunted in response. She paused, then added, "You're up a little late. Guess you don't have time to make breakfast?" "I'll grab something on the way," I said flatly. She forced a smile. "That's a shame. I kind of miss the simple omelets and toast you used to make." My hand was on the bathroom doorknob. "What's there to miss? You already had your breakfast, didn't you?" I shut the door behind me. I used to get up early every morning to cook for her. But ever since Caleb entered our lives, she'd gradually stopped eating breakfast at home. After changing, I was about to head out when I saw her standing there, her expression a mix of emotions. "I've been really busy lately, so I haven't been able to eat breakfast at home. I'll try to from now on." I let out a short laugh. "Don't bother. I'd rather get the extra sleep." That extra half hour this morning had made me feel like a new person. She stared at me, looking like she wanted to say something else. As I reached the front door, she rushed forward and grabbed my hand. I looked down at her grip. She bit her lip. I didn't see Caleb's post until later. He doesn't have a mean bone in his body. Nothing happened between us. Don't get the wrong idea. Even knowing he'd posted that, she was still defending him. In the past, whenever I expressed the slightest dissatisfaction with Caleb's behavior, she'd frown and call me insecure or petty. If I pushed it, she'd get angry, accusing me of having a dirty mind and insisting they're just friends, nothing more. I just smiled. I was used to her bias toward Caleb. Seeing my lack of reaction, she continued, "I know you're upset that I bailed on you yesterday, but Caleb got sick all of a sudden. You know he's all alone here, no family or friends." I pulled my hand free. "I know," I said calmly. "I get it. Can I go now? I'm going to be late for work." She pressed her hand against the door, blocking my exit. Her voice was frayed with irritation. "I told you, nothing is going on between us. Why are you still acting like this?" And I told you I believe you. So why are you still blocking the door? I'm seriously going to be late. I'm leaving. I didn't wait for her response and walked out. When I got home that evening, I went straight to the bedroom to grab some clothes for a shower. As I passed the home office, I heard Jessica's voice from inside. Just send it to me. I'll do it for you. No, it's fine. It's just a little bit of work. I can knock it out real quick. Haha. Okay, you owe me a nice dinner then. I knew she was helping Caleb with his work again. I remembered one time I'd asked her to help me proofread a stack of student essays. She put it off for 2 days. When I finally asked about it, she snapped, "It's the weekend. Can't I just relax and have some fun? Do your own work. Helping you is a favor, not an obligation." I ended up staying up all night to finish them myself. But ever since Caleb joined her company, unable to handle half his responsibilities, she had no problem stooping to do his work for him. When I confronted her about it, she said, "He's new to the professional world. It's normal that he doesn't know a lot of things." Weren't you the same when you first started teaching? Remembering the essays, I started a huge fight with her. She ended it by saying coldly, "At least when I help Caleb, it benefits my company. What do I get out of helping you?" We didn't speak for a long time after that, but I was still an idiot, so I forgave her after a half-hearted apology. After my shower, I was in bed, binge-watching a show on my tablet. A little while later, the bedroom door opened. I looked up. Jessica came in with a weary smile, climbing into bed and wrapping her arms around me. "You're home and didn't even say hi? Just playing on your own? Your wife just finished working and she's starving. Ask Caleb to make you something." Her arms stiffened and her face hardened. "Why do you have to bring Caleb into everything? Can't you stop thinking the worst for 1 second? I put down my tablet. "I'm not. You just spent all that time doing his work for him. It's only fair he cooks you a meal to return the favor, right?" She froze. "You heard that." Then her brow furrowed. "I told you, Caleb is new to this. It's perfectly normal for me to help him out. Besides, it's for the company. When the work gets done, the company grows. You have a stake in this company too, you know? In other words, when the company makes money, I can provide a better life for both of us. Why can't you understand that?" So she did remember that I'd invested my parents' inheritance into her company. Funny, because when I demanded she fire Caleb, her response had been, "Who's the boss here, me or you?" I kept my voice even. I guess I don't understand. All I know is that if a teacher at my school was still a total mess after 6 months on the job, he'd have been fired long ago. Jessica sighed deeply. Fine. I'll push him to get up to speed with his work. I'll try not to help him anymore. And if you have student work you need help with in the future, you can give it to me. I'll take care of it. Is that good enough for you?" She switched to a pleading tone, trying to placate me. It seemed she remembered our earlier fight. "Anyway, I'm hungry now. Honey, can you make me a late-night snack? We haven't eaten together in so long." "No thanks. You were right before. People should do their own work. Besides, I already ate on my way home. Just order some Postmates." Her face instantly turned cold. She was silent for a couple of seconds before getting up, turning, and slamming the door on her way out. After that day, Jessica and I entered another Cold War. But unlike previous times, when I'd be a nervous wreck, unable to focus on anything, these past few days on my own had been blissful. And I sure as hell wasn't going to crawl back to her the next day, begging for forgiveness like I used to. A week later, however, around 9 at night, her best friend Sarah called me. The message was brief. "Leo, get down to that bar near the office." Jessica's. I hung up before she could finish. Her little clique of friends and employees never liked me. They thought a high school teacher wasn't good enough for a successful, independent woman like Jessica. On the rare occasions she dragged me to company parties, they'd mostly ignore me or make passive-aggressive comments. I wasn't even allowed to look annoyed, or Jessica would accuse me of not being a good sport. Thinking back on it now, I was pathetic, but I have to admit, I kind of deserved it. Sarah called again. I declined it and blocked her number. I immediately started calling a realtor to set up appointments to see some apartments. I'd spent the week shortlisting new places. The condo we lived in was Jessica's, not to mention it was close to her office and a long commute from my school. Waking up early every morning left me perpetually exhausted. Most days I was just running on fumes. A colleague even suggested I see a doctor because I looked so pale all the time. With a schedule like that, of course I looked like hell. After I blocked Sarah, her friends started calling me, one by one. I had just hung up with the realtor when another call came in. I was about to block this one too, but I saw the caller ID was Megan and decided to answer. Among Jessica's friends, Megan had always been the kindest to me. She never joined in on the snide remarks, so I figured I owed her the courtesy of picking up. "Leo," she asked timidly, "Jessica's really drunk, and she keeps asking for you. Could you please just come get her? Tell Caleb to pick her up. I'm busy." Packing up my life was no small task. But it's Saturday night, and really, There's nothing going on between her and Caleb. Suddenly, there was a loud crash on her end of the line, followed by Jessica's furious shout. Hang up. Why are you calling him? What is there to explain to him? To save Megan any more trouble, I ended the call. After I finished packing, I collapsed on the sofa and mindlessly scrolled through Instagram. As expected, Caleb hadn't disappointed me. He'd posted a news story. Breaks my heart to see someone so wasted and their boyfriend doesn't even care. Guess it's up to a lowly employee like me to step up. The picture was of Jessica, passed out. I felt nothing. I put my phone down, then had a sudden urge to go back and like it, but I was too tired from packing. By the time I picked up my phone again a few minutes later, the story was gone. Just then, I heard a key turning in the lock. The door swung open, and there stood Jessica, who was supposed to be dead drunk, her face a mask of cold fury. Leo Martinez. Well done. You're really determined to be stubborn about this, aren't you? What did I do? I said, genuinely confused. Your girlfriend was drunk. You didn't care at all, and you told another man to come pick me up. We used to fight, and you'd be apologizing by the next morning. It's been a week, and you haven't sent a single text. Her eyes were red as she stared at me, a flicker of panic in them. That's because after some self-reflection, I realized I need to give you your space, I said calmly. And telling Caleb to get you was also part of my self-improvement. I'm trusting that you two are just friends. Isn't that a good thing? Jessica was speechless, her chest heaving. I stood up to go to my room, but she grabbed my arm. Let's go get something to eat. I know a new Thai place that just opened up nearby. She was trying to just sweep the whole silent treatment under the rug. Just as I was considering whether to lay it all out right then and there, to just end it, her phone rang. It was the custom ringtone she had set for Caleb, a sound that used to be my personal nightmare. I'd asked her to change it. She said she was too lazy. I offered to change it for her. She blew up at me for being controlling. For a while, that ringtone made me want to smash her phone to pieces. Jessica reached out and silenced the call. This was a surprise. Normally, a call from Caleb trumped everything, no matter how important. But Caleb was persistent. The moment she declined it, he called right back. I smiled. You should get that. Jessica pressed her lips together. No, I'm taking you to dinner. Are you going to block his number? She stood there, frozen. Because if he keeps calling, we're not going to get to eat anything, are we? She hesitated for a moment, then answered the phone. After listening for only a few seconds, her expression turned to panic. She hung up and said to me frantically, Caleb has food poisoning. I cut her off. Go. Jessica looked at me, her eyes searching mine. I'll be back soon. You have to wait for me. Then, without another moment of hesitation, she turned and left. Of course, I didn't wait for her. I had a wonderful, deep sleep and woke up the next morning to make myself a leisurely breakfast. After eating, I want to look at the apartment I'd scheduled. I felt a pang of regret. If I had finalized this a few days earlier, I could have moved out today. Before heading to the viewing, I noticed I had a dozen missed calls and dozens of unread messages. I must have accidentally silenced my phone. Thankfully, no important work messages were missed. Some were from Jessica, explaining that Caleb's condition was really serious, which was why she'd stayed with him all night, but that nothing had happened. Nothing happened between us. You have to believe me. Can you please just text me back? Beyond that, there were, shockingly, dozens of messages from Caleb. I jumped when I saw the number, but when I opened the chat, it was just the same few messages sent over and over again. They were sent using Instagram's vanish mode. Hey man, just tell me all night. She's really good at it. And you were home alone again, weren't you? Seriously, what's the point of clinging to a woman who doesn't love you? Don't wait up for her. She definitely won't be back this morning. He was afraid I'd miss them, so he kept resending. I replied wearily. Got it. Stop spamming. You'll wear yourself out. He went quiet for a moment, then suddenly sent a few normal messages. Whoops, wrong chat. Those weren't for you, Leo. Just joking around with a friend. I'm so sorry. I know I shouldn't bother the boss. It will never happen again. Leo just really loves you. Please don't fight because of me. He sent about a dozen variations of that, then stopped. Jessica, however, sent another message, saying Caleb was still weak and she needed to look after him a little longer. I'll definitely be back this afternoon. I blocked her number. Despite the unpleasant start to my day, the apartment viewing went perfectly. We signed a lease on the spot, and the landlord gave me the keys. It turned out she also owned a moving company. When she heard I was moving, she made a call, summoned a truck, and gave me a discount. I grabbed the boxes I'd already packed and left the place I'd lived in for years without a single look back. I had just finished cleaning and organizing the new apartment when my phone buzzed with messages from an unknown number. Leo, you moved out. I told you to wait for me to get back. Please, just calm down and listen to me. I'll keep my distance from Caleb from now on, I swear. I'll transfer him to another department. He won't be my assistant anymore. Please, just give me one more chance. I'm begging you. I read a few before blocking that number, too. But on Monday, as I was leaving work, I saw Jessica waiting for me at the school gate. The good mood I'd managed to maintain for 2 whole days vanished instantly. She had dark circles under her eyes and looked completely exhausted. The moment she saw me, she rushed over and grabbed my hand. I know I was wrong, Leo. Caleb was on a 4-drip all night, and he was still so weak this morning, so I just stayed to observe him a bit longer. I swear nothing happened between us. I already told him, after his sick leave is over, he's moving to another department. He's not going to be my assistant anymore. So can you give me another chance? She pleaded, looking at me with miserable eyes. Not wanting to cause a scene, I led her to a quieter corner of the schoolyard. I looked at her and asked calmly, while you were taking care of him, did you happen to notice if he was on his phone? Jessica paused and said, oh, that? I asked him to explain things to you. He said you only sent that one reply and figured you were mad. Leo, he might have overstepped a little, but he honestly doesn't have a mean bone in his body. What kind of explanation requires using vanish mode? She didn't seem surprised. She just gave a tired little laugh. He explained that to me too. He said he was just messing around with the feature with a friend and sent them to you by mistake. You know how scatterbrained young guys can be. The messages were gone, without a trace. I hadn't thought to screenshot them. I had no proof to show her. Jessica looked at me pitifully. So Leo, honey, can you please just give me one more chance? I swear on my life, I have absolutely no other feelings for Caleb. I stared at her. Do you know what was in those disappearing messages he sent? I recited the contents of Caleb's messages to her, word for word. Jessica's face went from disbelief to a pained look of resignation. Leo, I know you don't like him, and I meant what I said about keeping my distance from him. So, she hesitated, then lowered her voice. So please stop saying things like that. She didn't believe me. She thought I was making it up out of jealousy to slander Caleb. I took 2 steps back, a profound calm settling over me. Maybe, deep down, I still held on to some shred of affection for her. But with those words, that last shred vanished completely. Jessica, there's something I've been meaning to say for a while now. I'm saying it now. She froze, a sudden panic flooding her eyes. Don't say it. Your company is well established now, so I assume it won't be a problem if I pull my investment. The panic in her eyes intensified. Why are you suddenly talking about pulling your investment? You said your money would always be with me. Honey, I won't ask for more than my fair share, but I hope you can offer a reasonable price. And also, honey, don't say it. I'll buy you. We're breaking up. After that, Jessica started showing up at my school every day. Every time, I acted like she wasn't there. She tried to follow me home to my new place, but I told her I'd call the cops, and she would stop at the subway entrance, watching me go. But my new address wasn't exactly a state secret. It didn't take long for her to find it. Seeing her standing outside my apartment building when I got home from work was a genuine shock. Her eyes were bloodshot, her hair was a mess, and she looked even worse than she had at the school gate. Leo, I don't want to break up, she cried, rushing forward and hugging me tightly. We used to be so in love. How do we end up like this? Her voice was thick with tears, but I felt nothing. In fact, I almost wanted to laugh. Can we please get back together? Please move back in, she sobbed into my shoulder. The house feels so empty without you. I can't eat, I can't sleep. I've realized I really can't live without you. I pushed her away. I'm not moving back, I said coldly. This place is close to school, and the commute is easy. I can drive you, she said desperately. I'll drive you to work every single day, rain or shine. I shook my head. You said the same thing when I first moved into your place. But eventually, she started complaining that driving me to school was out of her way and cut into her sleep. After a while, I just stopped asking. She looked lost. I'm sorry. The company was going through a rough patch back then, and I wasn't in a good headspace. I promise from now on, I'll drive you every single day. I sighed. Let's just drop it, Jessica. What's the point? Besides, don't you have Caleb to drive around now? I'll tell him he can take the subway from now on. The L train just opened a new stop near his place. My teaching load is really heavy right now. We can talk about this some other time. I was exhausted and didn't want to argue anymore. But Jessica didn't give up. She actually rented the apartment next to mine and started getting up early every day to make me breakfast. In the evenings, this woman who supposedly lived for her work would somehow manage to be home before me, with dinner cooked, asking me to come over and eat. I mostly ignored her. She didn't seem to mind. On the rare occasion I was running late for work or too lazy to cook after, I'd take her up on the offer. She'd light up like it was Christmas morning. One night, while we were eating, she kept looking at me, hesitating. I tried to ignore it, but it was killing my appetite. Finally, I asked her what was on her mind. She immediately put down her fork and looked at me seriously. I've been thinking, and I know I've been really unfair to you. I admit I was under a lot of pressure with the company, and I think I was looking for an escape. And while I know for a fact I never had romantic feelings for Caleb, I was emotionally checked out of our relationship. I'm so sorry, honey. I'm going to talk to Caleb. I'll give him a generous severance package and ask for his resignation. From now on, you will always be my priority. I will never put anyone else before you again. So, she looked at me, her eyes full of hope. Can we not break up? Her gaze was filled with a deep, loving sincerity, but my appetite vanished completely. If I had heard these words back when I still had the energy to fight with her, I probably would have burst into tears of joy. I put down my fork. Before I could speak, a phone started ringing. It wasn't my ringtone. Was that Jessica's? I glanced at her phone on the table. The name Caleb Vance was flashing on the screen. It was Caleb Vance, not Caleb Redhart. And the ringtone. I already deleted the custom ringtone I set for him, Jessica said quickly, ignoring the call and staring at me anxiously. Honey, believe me, I'm really changing. I didn't say anything. I just asked, aren't you going to answer that? She shook her head frantically and declined the call. I meant what I said. You will always come first from now on. Then answer it, I said, my voice flat. Answer the phone, and then we can talk about what comes next. She stared at me, stunned. Then, setting her jaw, she said, okay, I'll make things clear with him right now. Jessica didn't get to make things clear with Caleb because he was on the phone, sobbing and threatening to kill himself. She stammered to me that a life was on the line, but promised she would make things clear with him and begged me to wait for her. I didn't try to stop her. I also didn't suggest that calling 911 might be a more effective solution. She gave me one last worried look, then ran out the door without looking back. I went back to my own apartment. A few minutes later, I got a message from Caleb. She still came running to me, old man. You must be pissed. Hope you choke on it. Caleb had been quiet for days. I knew he wouldn't stay that way. He was clearly saving up for something big. What he didn't know was that I'd kept his number unblocked precisely for this reason. Before I went to bed, a few more messages came through. She slept with me. Why aren't you saying anything? Are you punching a wall right now? Dude, I didn't want to send this right before bed, didn't want to ruin your sleep, but I just couldn't help myself. I know you're reading this. Why no reply? Did you actually have a rage aneurysm? LOL. You look so pathetic refusing to admit defeat. Just let her go. It's better for everyone. The last message included a photo of the two of them in bed, naked. By the way, she's a real wildcat in bed, but it's been a while since you've experienced that. I just shrugged at my phone. When Jessica rushed back, she caught me on my way out to take out the trash. I'm sorry, honey. I broke my promise again, but I've made it clear to him. He's resigning on Monday. He will never appear in our lives again. If you're still angry, I can move out until you've cooled down. Just don't leave, please. I was surprised by that last part. Then I realized she must have seen the packed suitcase I had sitting in my living room. I looked at her and smiled. He'll never appear in our lives again. Is that what Caleb promised you? No, I told him, she said quickly. I told him not to bother us ever again. Jessica, you were gone all night. You've changed your clothes. Looks like you even showered and washed your hair. Her eyes darted away. It took a lot of energy to talk him down. I got a little sweaty, and I didn't want to smell, so I just showered before I came back. I sighed. Jessica, I really did love you once. She got emotional. Me too, honey. I still love you so much. If that's true, then I hope you can respect the love we once had. I calmly sent her a file from my phone. She opened it, confused. Her eyes saw the screen, and she froze, as if she'd been turned to stone. It was a screen recording of the messages and photos he had sent me last night. Jessica's expression was one of dead, hopeless despair. She slowly sank to the floor, covering her face with one hand, her shoulders shaking with choked sobs. He said he just wanted one last memory. He promised that if I just did this one thing for him, he'd disappear from our lives forever. Leo, you're never going to forgive me, are you? I didn't answer her question directly. Think about my investment. Let me know what you decide. In the end, Jessica bought out my shares in the company for a very generous price. Caleb wasn't there the day we signed the papers. Jessica must have forbidden him from showing up. I'm so sorry, Leo, she said. She looked exhausted, worn down to the bone. That apartment complex you're in now is in a great location. Don't move again. I'll be the one to leave. I had no intention of moving. The suitcase she saw was because I'd resigned from my teaching position and was planning to do some traveling. And she was right, the location was great. It was a convenient place to live, even if I wasn't working. Before we parted ways, she hugged me tightly one last time. I'm sorry. My shoulder grew damp, but all I felt was a deep, weary annoyance. The day I left, I was waiting at my gate at O'Hare when I got another message from Caleb. Jess and I got our marriage license. It's a shame you can't be at the wedding, old man. But I guess you'll be on your little trip to mend your broken heart. Oh well. Jess even said she's going to make me CEO. Don't be too sad. I'm sure you'll find someone who's right for you someday. Like some twice-divorced 60-year-old grandma. It was clear he was still pissed that Jessica had paid me so much for my shares. He was trying his hardest to get under my skin. I glanced at another notification on my phone. It was an alert from my bank. A deposit of over $1. $5 million had cleared. The sender was Jessica. I did a quick mental calculation. That had to have been most of her liquid assets. Well, it looked like Caleb was going to have to fend for himself. I smiled, sent him back a simple message. Wishing you all the happiness you deserve. And then I blocked his number for good. 3 months later, I came back from my trip to a very different world. Megan called to tell me what had happened. After Jessica signed over the company to Caleb, she gave all her old friends, including Megan, a huge payout and told them to quit. Then she let Caleb run wild, hiring his own people and making a mess of things. Meanwhile, Jessica was taking out massive loans in the company's name to fund new, high-risk ventures. By the time Caleb finally realized what was happening, the company, now legally his, was buried under a mountain of debt he could never repay in 10 lifetimes. He lost it. He demanded Jessica pay off the debts, screaming that it was marital debt. Jessica just laughed coldly and informed him that she'd used a fake ID when they went to the courthouse. Their marriage certificate was invalid. He then tried to tell her he'd seen a positive pregnancy test, but Jessica was unfazed. She told him she'd already taken care of it. In a complete breakdown, Caleb attacked Jessica. They struggled, and both of them tumbled down a flight of stairs. Caleb was paralyzed from the waist down and, due to the nature of his injuries, was left permanently impotent. Jessica hit her head. She was gone by the time the ambulance got her to the hospital. Megan's voice was pleading on the phone. Leo, I know what Jessica did was wrong, but for the sake of what you two once had, can you come to her funeral? Just to say goodbye. Thinking of the money in my bank account, I agreed. On the day of the funeral, I went to the service. Unlike me, Jessica was an orphan, so her friends were the ones who had arranged everything. As memories of our time together flickered through my mind, I felt a strange calm, as if I were watching a story about someone else. Looking at her picture in the black frame, it was like seeing a stranger. I realized then that whatever I had felt for Jessica, love, hate, it was all gone. There was nothing left. I joined the line, paid my respects, and quietly left the funeral home. Goodbye, Jessica.